Hi, it's Ken, and last time the video that I did was on the 4 pillars of health, with the first pillar being nutrition. And I sort of went into it a little bit more than I wanted to, but I guess I did that because it really is the basis of everything is what we eat. You can go a little bit bigger and go, okay, well, same thing applies to plants, same things applies to all other types of animals, is what they ingest is either going to help them or not. And there's been a ton of confusion with, let's just call it diet, because I think people use the word diet because 99% of the time they want to lose weight. And like I said in the last video, is it losing weight or losing fat? Do you really want to lose weight? You want to lose water? You want to cut off your hand? Don't do that. But very easy. There's lots of ways to lose 10 pounds in one day. It's easy. That's not what we're talking about, or I don't think that's what people are talking about when they want to lose weight. I think they want to say they want to lose fat. But let's just go away from that for a second and talk about food. And maybe you'll think this is too basic of a conversation, but I think sometimes we lose the basics. We forget about the basics. We start getting all fancy and thinking that we know stuff. Okay, so why do you need to eat? Pausing, thinking. Why do you need to eat? Why do you need to eat? Okay, because our different metabolic processes depend on caloric intake and a breakdown into proteins, carbs, fats, and a variety of vitamins, minerals, other things. Okay, so if you don't eat completely, then certain functions of your body don't work. That's not me just saying it. That's research. So science, everybody's anti-science because they know so much. So you have to have protein, you have to have carbs, you have to have fat. When I say have to, I'm saying that's what we've been eating for thousands of years. Now, the proportions of which, if you're going to go keto, paleo, you're going to do these different things. Here's how I'm going to talk about that. There are people all over the earth. The people in Alaska do not eat the way that people do in the Amazon. They've both been here for thousands of years. They both seem to do great. So when people start saying they have the magic, the magic nutritional plan, is the magic nutritional plan eating seal fat? Is the nutritional plan eating a variety of really kind of unique nuts and vegetation? Is the key having lots of fish, oily fish in your diet? Is the key different vegetables? So what you have to start looking at is, like, as a species, we're pretty adaptable. We can eat a variety of things and make it work. And especially if we eat that way within our own lifetime, we can change how our body works. Or if you're doing it as a culture, and you do that over hundreds of years, thousands of years, then clearly there's adaptations. But let's look at sort of what's optimal. Let's look at the average person. What's optimal? Ken, I'm not moving to Alaska. I'm not moving to the Amazon. All that stuff you're saying is bullshit, because that's just really unique kind of people that live in their area. What about me? Okay, so here's what we know. Inflammation helps to create all types of problems in your body, from cancer to fatigue to all types of things is a result of inflammation. So, what I recommend is an anti inflammation diet. You will work better when your body's not inflamed. Makes sense? So, what does it take to be anti inflammatory? There are certain things that you can eat, like salmon, that are anti inflammatory. There are things like turmeric that are anti inflammatory. There's things like reducing processed carbohydrates and reducing overall carbohydrate intake to reflect your activity level. You should eat for what you do. If you're a desk jockey and you're sitting there all day at a desk and you don't really exercise, which is too bad, then your whole system, your whole calories are going to be radically different than an Olympic athlete, or even somebody who's going to the gym 3-4 days a week or hitting some tennis. Totally different. Totally different. But the thing that's in common is you want it anti-inflammatory. So, mention it again. Fish, specific types of fish, specific types of herbs and seasonings. Reduce sugar inflames the gut. And if your gut is inflamed, 70% of your serotonin comes out of your gut. Some people say more. Serotonin is your natural antidepressant. So some people even think that arthritis and other types of joint disorders and autoimmune disorders are a result of an inflammatory response brought on by increased carbohydrates. So this gets difficult for like people that are vegan, where all you're supposed to be eating is carbohydrates, right? You're vegan, so you can't eat meat, so you can eat fat, but the fat has to come from a vegetable source. Anyway, I know a lot of people that are vegan, vegetarian, extremely heavy. So, but that's because vegan doesn't mean anti-inflammatory. Anti-inflammatory means you want your gut health to be happy. That is lots of fresh water. That is anti-inflammatory herbs and seasonings, anti-inflammatory types of foods, how you eat. Or do you drink lots of coffee, which could be in some ways good, but in some ways it can be very inflaming. So you really want, I would say that if you were an athlete or Joe Average or Jolene Average, you should probably do an anti-inflammatory diet. It's good for aesthetics, it's good for your skin, it's good for things like that. It's also good for your internal body processes, things you can't see. Makes your body work better, makes your brain work better. Imagine, you know the word irritated. So if you were irritated, you don't always make the best decisions. You don't always do the right thing. Well, imagine that your body is totally irritated from the inside out, and that affects your brain. Well, I'm saying get your food down right. There's exceptions to every rule, and doctors will say, well, I didn't prescribe. Okay, so I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I just study this shit, okay? So, I just study it all the time. So, you want to increase your fiber, way more than the RDA says on fiber. You want to keep your protein probably moderate, okay? What does that mean? I don't really want to get into too many details, but there are not too many people that are walking into the doctor's office that are having excessive protein. So I wouldn't really worry too much about protein. You're probably getting enough. You would increase your protein, obviously, if you're an athlete or doing lots, like really breaking down your muscles. But the number one thing is I'd say the trick is carbohydrates. You want to get in the carbs for energy, but you don't want too much energy, because then there's called spillover. And that's Dunlap's disease, where your stomach's Dunlapped over your belt. And, extra carbs are stored as fat. You know, we have muscle glycogen, which is carbohydrates stored in the muscle, and then in excess of that, it's stored. So it's a really fine line how to do that. I suggest that you try to get some vitamins and minerals and fiber when you eat carbs. Now, eat white rice, okay? White rice has really gotten a bad rap. But I didn't say have 4 bowls of white rice. So here's the thing. A teriyaki chicken bowl can be really healthy or not. So watch this. You could do a teriyaki chicken bowl, and it's a small, like a half cup, you know, a cup of rice. Or you could have a teriyaki chicken bowl that has 2 to 3 cups of rice, and you pour a half a cup of teriyaki sauce on it. I mean, you're going to be taking in 200 grams plus of carbs. 200 times 4.5, you're doing 1,000 just in rice and sauce. Okay? But it's a teriyaki chicken bowl, and that's, you know, the vegetable. Just because it says it doesn't mean that it's in the right proportion. And just because a supermodel's wearing a pair of jeans doesn't mean that you should, because it doesn't always work for everybody. Everything has to be balanced in the proportion to what you do and who you are. If you're a 300-pound lineman, I still say that you should eat in these proportions, but you would just eat more of it. Okay? But if you're not doing that much, how much rice do you need to sit? I'm not being mean, but you need to think about it. Well, I want to be full. I don't want to be hungry. Have a salad this big, and you won't be. Have some grilled vegetables with a little bit of rice, and you won't be. So don't worry about not being, you know, full or satiated. But I think that's it. I'm going to talk in the next one about a different type of supplements and other things. But the crux of this is you want anti-inflammatory. You want the seasonings you put on, the herbs you put on, the type of food you eat, the proportion of food that you eat. You want an anti-inflammatory experience, so that your lower intestines and your stomach and all that stuff are not totally pissed off at you. Because when they're pissed off, you're going to be pissed off. Thanks for checking in. Subscribe to my channel. Like me on Facebook. See ya.